We're live.
Live from across the world, it's Saturday night with Michael of Ricefield Records from somewhere in Japan, and Uncle Dan, the Vinyl Man, from the end of a gravel road in central Minnesota. Yes.
Yes. Manny. Welcome, Rufus P. Firefly. You are welcome here. You are welcome on our stream. Man of many
Manny.
voices.
Bonjour, Manny. Comment ça va? So, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I'm glad I'm not Johnny Winter because he's dead.
Yes.
He was a hell of a guitarist. Yeah, I had to show off my new acquisition, my Sears Silvertone, probably manufactured by Tokyo Electronic Instruments,
Japanese company.
Yeah, Tokyo Electronic Instruments, Instrument and Sound Company, probably a Teisco, Mosrite copy. It's a copy of a Mosrite. So, but with the beautiful Teisco single coils, Teisco style single coils in it. Noted for their gnarly sound. So, yeah, bonjour. Yeah. Did Michael send me the guitar? No, he didn't. The bum.
No.
The bum. Michael should send me guitars, shouldn't he? Let's take a vote on that. Manny, are you in favor of Michael sending me vintage Japanese guitars from Japan? Or tell me you're in favor there. Yes. Michael should 100%.
LOL. That's not a yes.
That's 100%.
LOL.
That's 100%. Yeah, no, he
Sure,
wrote 100%.
Why not? He can't commit. Sure, why not?
Come on, Manny. Let's have Michael
Let's have
send
something
me
demonstrative.
But yeah, and I should be playing slide guitar for tonight for a reason that will become clear later.
Okay.
So we've got
How's
Manny.
We got Manny. I can send you guitars for everybody. Everybody in the vinyl community. You get a guitar, and you get a guitar, and you get a guitar. Guitars for everybody.
Michael Oprah Ricefield. Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah, there we go.
My heart is full. Well, let's not dilly-dally, shall we?
I mean, let's not let us neither dilly-dally nor shilly-shally.
And let's get right to it. We had a theme.
Let's get to it. Well, yeah. First, it's always first order of business.
Yes.
New acquisitions.
Yes.
New acquisitions. We have to do new acquisitions first. My new acquisition is an old acquisition, and I didn't go down to the cities, so I had to buy something from Walmart half an hour away. Peggy Lee Classics from Walmart. Reissue of a '93 album, which collected some of her Capitol recordings. Not, I think, her best stuff, although some great stuff. I mean, Mac the Knife, A Taste of Honey, which I really enjoy her version of A Taste of Honey, which is a great song, and it's on purple vinyl. So, I'll show you the glorious purple vinyl, but is that showing up?
Look at that beautiful purple.
Yeah.
All the manufacturers are making colored vinyl these days.
Yeah. Not a lot of cuts on here. You can see you're not going to get a lot of inner groove distortion because there aren't that many cuts on it.
Huh.
So yeah, lots of dead wax there.
It's an EP, as they say.
No, it's not an EP. It's got 10 cuts on it, but they're all under 3 minutes. 3 minutes or right at 3 minutes or right there. I mean, that's the way it was back, when these were being recorded. Everything was going to be 3 minutes. So, 10 cuts, 3 minutes, that's, 15 minutes aside, basically. So it's not real long, but, Peggy Lee is great. And I've probably got everything on other stuff, but, just Peggy Lee, and I wanted to have something new, and and also support Walmart in its kind of befuddled offering of vinyl.
They're a struggling company, I hear.
I don't know, but they're selling vinyl, so I try to buy a record there every now and then just to say, hey, look, you are selling vinyl, so some bean counter will see that. They also sell. They're also selling guitars again, and that used to be a place where you would buy Teisco guitars. It was at Walmart. They used to sell Teiscos there, and I'm having because I'm half a mile away.
Lend her hand to some lyric writing as well. True talent, Peggy.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, Peggy Lee did some did write some stuff. Blanket on what all she wrote, but she may have written
Black Coffee. Didn't she
write
Black Coffee?
Yeah, I think she did. And that album, that Decca album by her is great. That's a great album. That's probably, I think that's her best. But and I have a Ververy issue of that that's really, really nice and sounds beautiful.
Okay.
I ought to do a vintage vinyl on that. So
you should.
Yeah.
You should.
Yeah. No. The local Wally, one of the local Wally Worlds has an acoustic there, and has a Washburn Strat copy. The Strat copy comes with a little amp, tiny little 10-watt practice amp, a gig bag, and I think maybe a guitar stand. I'm not sure if it's got the guitar stand, but $250 for the guitar, and that's I'm sure it's a very, very good guitar. Single hum, 2 single coils and a humbucker. So it looks nice. It's probably probably a photo flame, not a real flame maple top, but probably a photo flame maple top.
It's intended for kids as a starter kit.
No, it's a full size. It's a full size guitar.
Interesting.
Same scale as this one. 25.5-inch scale, standard Fender scale. So, and Washburn used to be a really reputable guitar company.
Yeah.
They do a lot of imports. I've got a Washburn hollow body electric, jazz electric, which I thought would be really smooth, sounding, sort of jazzy sounding, but it sounds better. Probably it's probably more of a rockabilly guitar, but anyway. Yeah. I picked up. I needed strings. I got this Thursday, and I needed strings for it. I thought I had strings, and I didn't, and I had to drive down to the Wally World last night and pick up strings there. They've got D'Addario 10s. So
let's see the top of the neck real quick, because I can't. That's cut off from the frame.
Oh, it doesn't have a brand on here. Where am I going to knock over?
That's dirty looking, Dan. Okay. All right. Yeah. It's big.
Yeah. Well, it looks bigger because of the angle of the camera.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, Cool Transport says some Ellington tunes. I guess he's referring to Peggy Lee.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I'm not sure, but yeah, she was a writer, and just when I listen to her, I'm always struck by the intelligence of her phrasing. She was one of the most, her phrasing is always, she always sounds really smart back there. And she's a really smart. She was a really smart gal, and it just comes through incredibly. And that's what I like in vocalists. I like to hear them in ones that sound smart.
Yes. Can you see that?
What's on the topic menu tonight? Okay. We're going to do first. We're going to do. I think we've got 2 things. We do. Manny. I usually buy 10s or 11s. And I like D'Addarios. I bought them for a long time. They work well for me. And so I typically buy D'Addarios, and usually 10 to 46. 11s to 52s for D, open D, but otherwise 10. I used to play up to 13s. I used to play really heavy, but I just can't handle that anymore. It's just too much.
So on our agenda today,
worst bargains, best bargains. And I forgot to bring my worst bargain, but I talked about it last week, so I'll talk about it again at some point. You go.
Okay.
You go first.
Well, on my best bargains, I live in Japan, and sometimes I go to the shop and they have 100 yen bin, and for you folks in the U.S., that would be 71 cents. So the first one, and these are all Japanese pressings in near mint condition, I picked up. Yes. Now you're a Prague man. This is close to the edge, probably one of your favorite Prague records, Uncle Dan. And I know that you could cite some of the lyrics, from some of these great songs like "And You and I" or "Siberian Quattro."
Yeah.
So
how sucked does it suck? Sorry.
So, they did have record rental stores in Japan. Did you know that? Rental stores. They would rent, and so these are in excellent shape because nobody rented them. Nobody rented this Flash record, which is the second record by Peter Banks, who's Yes, the band that I just showed. And this cover was done by Hypnosis. Fantastic record. Flash. In the $3.19 category, I picked up. No, we got a stream, Bobby. Jesus Christ. Hold on a second. Hold on. I got to tell you, Uncle Boy, that boy, Bobby, sometimes he gets my blood pressure to rise. Anyway, he's going to be coming along now. May I go on?
Please do. I'll just do a little musical interlude there while you were doing that.
Okay. Now, I picked this up. This is by the American Randy Newman.
Oh yeah, yeah. I can't see it. I can't see that far.
Randy Newman. This is a fantastic record. This has got a song on it, and I think you'd appreciate this, Dan, being a senior. You can leave your hat on. Now, you know what he's referring to date night. And when things get tussly,
you can leave your hat.
He's saying to the little lady, she could leave her hat on because it's probably a little cold where they are, and she needs to keep her head warm. Now, before I move on, Cool Transport says rented records in the 80s, SoCal, obviously they expected us to be taping what we couldn't afford to buy. The poverty of days gone. Yeah, I guess, I guess the Japanese did that too, but they rented everything. And they rented.
I think Bobby's here.
Oh. Hello, son. Hello.
What's up, guys?
Hello. How are
you guys up to?
Well, we're talking about the.
Is that a Del Rey there? Tiesco Del Rey?
Probably it was sold as a Sears Silvertone.
I hear wind in the background. Who is that?
That's me. I'm sorry. It's 111 in Vegas today.
Oh, good
there, that'll quiet it down.
Yeah, okay, it's probably a Tiesco or Tiesco Mosrite copy.
You have You have groupies.
Yeah.
How many people do we have here today?
8.
Good. Outstanding.
So gaze upon the beauty of that my.
Oh, that's
silver
classic. That's the same tremolo that are used on the Gretsch.
Well, yeah, and carved top, or routed top, or router. It wasn't carved, but they ran it up against a router, so make it look like a true carved top. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty fun. Terrible frets. The Teisco stuff from that vintage, they had like no frets on them. Yeah, I agree, Marius. I agree. I like that. I would have walked off with that Sansui AU 7500 for sure.
Why not? Of course, the freaking anything that whole series is awesome. The 7500, the 880s, the 990s, those are fabulous.
I've got the 5500, which is really great sounding.
Yeah, it's part of the same series. You know what I mean?
Yeah, not as much power, but it's like 29 watts a side or something like that. I mean,
they were made well, and see the difference. Like you try to explain to people that don't understand it. So they're like 25 watts back then was more similar to probably 60 watts nowadays.
Well, I think I've told you my experience where I still have my Sansui the G2000 that I bought in fall 78 for fall 77. I think it was 78. Bought it and it's 16 watts a side. Eventually I decided, well, I'll get something with more wattage, and I picked up, like in the 90s, early 2000s, I picked up something that was supposed to have 50 watts a side. And it did not have, it was nowhere nearly as loud.
See, that's why, like, back then, I mean, you know about the receiver wars, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, in the 70s, I mean, they were, like, competing against each other to try to make the best receivers they could possibly be made.
Yeah.
And so...
That was the era. That was the era of it. I mean, that's why if you can find a good 70s era receiver, either one of the good Japanese brands or, Marantz, I think, is overpriced.
Marantz is overpriced. The 2270 series or whatever, the 2230, 2255. That's way too much.
I think those are significantly overpriced, and then some of them from that era were not true Marantzes, so you got to watch out for those. I picked up one of those for nothing. I forget what it was, but it just didn't seem to have much going for it. But I sold it to a guy who just loves it, and he says, Dan, I don't know why you didn't like this. This is great.
The Pioneer SX series was fabulous. You know
I have never owned one of those, but they go for a lot of money around here.
I have the 1280, and it is freaking phenomenal. I mean, it's a step down from the mother of us all. The what's it called? The 1080. No, it's I have the 1280. There's the 1980. The 1980 is the 300 watts per side.
Yeah, and it weighs like a ton, doesn't it? I mean, you have to have a forklift to move that sucker. It's like some of the big Sansuis that just had.
I want it though, man. I don't know why. I want it. I would be nice to have 300 watts per side. My 1280 is 185 per side.
Yeah.
but I mean, that should be enough for anybody, right?
Yeah, you should be able to make. I mean, I can't turn my AU 5500 up over halfway.
No.
I get up, I start, I mean, things just start, in addition to it being hurting, things start my house starts falling apart.
Right. And you start to clip the amplifier and the speakers. It's just not a good thing.
Yeah, no, I can tell at some point in there, the speakers have had all they can handle.
Yeah, well, obviously Marantz made their gear look sexy.
That's right. Marantz gear looks great. It looks beautiful.
But that's kind of what the stereos from like back in the day they used, and that's like what's so special. I mean, they were stereo, they sounded great, but they also kind of like doubled as a nightlight in your room. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they just had a.
Yeah, you'd have them in your room, and you'd stare at them. You're right. It's like a beautiful piece of art.
Yeah.
I only see open box Marantz here. In other words, somebody recently bought it and it's for sale. I don't see any vintage Marantz whatsoever, and I don't see big Pioneer receivers at all.
So we're talking old gear and stuff. During like you know, the Silverface days, what were you guys rocking in your college dorms, or what were you rocking, you know, when you're like you know, what did you guys have?
I had my Sansui G2000. That's what 16
G2000?
watts of pride. Yeah.
I had Pale H and a Bogan, but they're all dead. You know, those are dead brands.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sansui's dead too. I think there may be a kind of a version of Sansui around, but it's really crappy.
It's not the same brand.
No.
But the receivers,
yeah, I think it's the name. There hell, there's a Tysco around still.
Yeah, the receivers, they don't make them as good as they used to back then. I mean, even some of the Techniques. I mean, they made a monster receiver. Techniques put out one in the late 70s. They're just, the tuners, everything. I mean, they could pull in radio stations from freaking 3 states over. I mean, they're just.
One of the best I have for that is a J.C. Penney MCS tuner that I have. That
really,
that sucker just really, yeah. I got it for like $15-20, you know. Yeah. And I bought it from a guy who just, in fact, I sold him my that whatever that was, Marantz MR235 or something like that. I said not a collectible Marantz, but I sold him that, and I think we dickered on that, and I got the MCS tuner, and I bought it in part so I could set a little Chinese tube amp that I have on it and get it the right height, and thought it might kind of look cool. It's also blackface, you know, so later, you know, late 70s, early 80s blackface thing, but. You know, I plugged it in and I thought, okay, this is mainly just to be a stand here and kind of look cool under this. But, you know, but I plugged it in and I started, you know, and I was bringing in, you know, really, you know, I was bringing in distant stations just with a, you know, speaker wire for an antenna.
That's freaking awesome. That made had a great tuner, you know?
Had a great tuner. And I checked it against my 2 Sansuis, which have good tuners. The ones I have, I've got the AU 5500. And my G2000, and both of those have good tuners on them.
But the thing is, nowadays, nobody makes nobody puts love and care into the tuner.
Yeah, I have a Grundig multiband that I bought, I don't know, 2010 or so. Mm-hmm. And it has a really excellent FM tuning section in it. It will really bring the stuff in just off the you know, the extendable whip antenna.
Yeah, the radio days have kind of like died.
Yamaha was supposed to have the Yamaha stuff, and I've never had a Yamaha receiver, but they were supposed to have kind of a warm. Weren't they supposed to have the very warm sort of musical sound?
Natural sound?
Yeah.
I've had the Yamahas. I've had a few of their ones that came out in the late 70s, 80s that have like the like square knobs that you push and they light up in green, blue. I mean, they're nice looking. They're silver face and everything. They're it wasn't a receiver. I had an integrated amp.
Yeah. Aren't they supposed to have, I think there's a Yamaha receiver around, or maybe a Yamaha integrated amp. I think there's a Yamaha integrated amp around still that you can buy new. It's supposed to be a very good amp. $800 or so. I forget what that is. And it's supposed to be a very, very good amplifier. You know, one that's worth paying attention to out of so much modern stuff. Yeah. Yeah, warm. Yeah. I've never had one. I've just seen them described that way. I don't know. I know that
they sound good.
The only Yamaha I have is a Yamaha turntable, a YPB4, I believe, little belt drive turntable that I really, really like. It is a really nice, cheap turntable, and man, I think it's great. It was always cheap. Panasonic quad, yeah. Well, Panasonic.
Did you guys ever get into quad? Did you guys ever get into?
I never did.
I had a quad set up in high school.
What's the piece of gear that you have on the East Coast that you want to bring out? You were telling me about.
I have a Monster Techniques receiver, one of the, from the receiver boards that I wanted to bring out, and I also have a Pioneer, not an SX 980, which is I think of the 60 watts per side that I wanted to bring over. Because I have a lot of my stuff.
The 980s. I mean, a lot of people really love those 980s.
Oh yeah, they're great stuff. I have a lot of my silver face stuff, back east, and I want to get it over because it's in the house that I grew up in, which is my brother's, living in there now, which is fun. Why it's quiet is because my daughter's back east now, so it's just me here. Yeah. It's fun, but I want to get a lot of that gear over here because I got a reel-to-reel that I'm trying to get over there. I have a Pioneer tape deck, all silver face, because
I've got an Akai. I have an Akai reel-to-reel that I forget the model number on it, but it can do quad.
Yeah, but I mean, I
hardly ever use. But
did you try to go nuts and build a rack system? Like how you have the same. You have silver face everything, and you have the same model that goes with everything.
Yeah, no, that would be cool. I used to want. What was that? There was the cool Pioneer tape reel-to-reel that everyone kind of wants. It's the form factor is really more rack mount than the others.
The Studers makes great reel-to-reels.
Yeah, but reel-to-reel, the old stuff. I mean, if you buy old recorded tapes, man, they're fragile and they've got a lot of surf. They've got a lot of noise. They're noisy.
Yeah, they take a lot of maintenance to get them to work perfect.
Yeah, and it's just a hassle, and I just never. I tried it for a while. I had at my old firm. I used to have I had a reel-to-reel set up in my office with a Heathkit tube preamp, a Heathkit amplifier, a Heathkit, and this was mono stuff. I was running the reel-to-reel into a mono preamp. Just wired in, did a Y in to a mono preamp, and then a mono amplifier, and then a Heathkit speaker cabinet.
Did you build them, or were they just somebody ordered?
I bought them off eBay in 2000, 2001.
Gotcha.
Back when you could actually buy stuff fairly reasonably off eBay. Nowadays, it's just crazy.
What was it? A 4-track?
That reel-to-reel was not a 4-track. I can't remember what that one was. I gave all that to a friend of mine at the firm when I left. I just, I didn't feel like carrying it back, and I didn't, I knew I wasn't going to have a place in the house to set it up, and
what's so nuts, when you think about it, back then, a 4-track was wow, man, I can lay down the bass track, I can do the guitar, I can put drums, and you used to be excited about something like that. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
They got software that'll blow that out of the water now.
Yeah, well, I mean, your freaking phone will do better than that now.
Right.
Yeah.
But I remember how cool they were, though. I mean, it's just when I think about that.
I used to want one of the Fostex 4-channel cassette recorders. You remember those?
The what?
The Fostex
cassette recorders?
Cassette recorders they had the Fostex or was it Tascam?
Oh, I remember Tascam, yeah.
Maybe it was a Tascam. For some reason I think it was a Fostex 4-channel tape recorder.
Yeah.
That you could record, you could lay down 4 channels and you could lay down a channel and go back and record over, record on the next channel and stack 4 channels. And then you could mix them down, and so you could then stack. You could multi-channel them. Neutral Milk Hotel's famous lo-fi album was recorded on one of those.
Yeah, I used to have like one of those cheap reel to reels and a Kai reel to reel 4-track, and I had like I think 8 or 9 Minimus 7s. Do you remember the Minimus 7s, the realistic speakers?
Oh man, people loved those.
They were tiny bookshelves. What were they?
Yeah,
they were Minimus 7s or Minimus 7s, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've got some Minimus 2.5s that if I treat them right, if I put them in the right spot, actually will sound okay.
Yeah.
What's really big here are Tannoy.
Really?
Tannoy. I think they're British speakers. Tannoy and JBL, but Tannoy are just huge. I see them everywhere in all the stores.
Well, they're highly regarded. I've seen them at there are a couple of places. There's a Magnolia Hi-Fi in a Best Buy around here that's got a real big setup, and they've got some Tannoy speakers in there, and Macintosh stuff and things like that.
And Harbath. Do you know that line of speakers, Harbath? That's also British. Really well regarded here.
I don't know those.
Yeah. No, I don't know Harbath either. I mean, I haven't bought brand new speakers in like a long time. You guys, have you bought a brand new pair?
I'm really happy with the ones I got.
Yeah, I'm a used speaker because I don't have the money. I'm sure if I was, flush, I'd be rolling Fremer speakers, or what are those freaking speakers that everybody wears? The Wilson Audios?
Yeah.
The ones that are as big as freaking washing machines. Or like the Klipschorns. Remember the Klipschorns?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, those were, I remember when those freaking first came out.
What do you have now, Bobby? What do you
I have a bunch of speakers. I have the Paradigm Studio 80s. I have, what's it called? What I have in here is the Studio 80s, and I have what the heck? Not the time windows. I have the time frames 600s. DCM.
Yeah. And they're always in service, or you're always swapping them out?
I'm always swapping them out. And I also have a pair of Monitor 11s Paradigm. I like Paradigm sound because I like my speakers to be neutral. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean when I say that? I don't like speakers that, because I want it to, not color my damn sound.
These are mostly 2-way or 3-way?
3-way.
And you have them on stands? You have them raised?
Most of them are floor standers.
Oh, really? Okay. All right.
Yeah. I have a pair of Monitor 3s for bookshelf. But the problem with those is I always cook the tweets on those. They're very good.
Yeah.
How many speakers do you have, Dan?
I don't have that many sets of speakers. I've got some Pioneer CS 31s, CSA 31s. They're pretty old, but they have doped surrounds, doped fabric surrounds, so they didn't fall apart. They are, and they are very efficient. They're like 102 decibels per watt. So very efficient. I like that. I've got some Klipsch's. I can never remember the numbers on those. I've got some old Sears Silvertone 12-inch 3-ways from '64, also with doped surrounds on them, so they didn't fall apart. And those sound quite good. And then I've got another that I just can't. I don't pay as much attention to the speakers.
You just rattled off 10 pairs.
But I don't. And I've picked up for some fun some Fishers, and which are not very good, and I've got some Radio Shacks that are not very. Actually, I've got a pair of Radio Shacks that I use, Optimus 9000s.
Optimus made some good shit during the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, mine. I bought these in '87. I had to refoam the woofers, but I listened to those. I listened to those for years and years and years with my with my Sansui. I forget what I had. Oh, I built a pair of speakers out of Radio Shack stuff at one point.
Mm.
And then I gave those to my brother Al at one point. So anyway, Well, anyway, should we get back to best and worst bargains?
That's what we were talking about, best and worst bargaining, Gary. Okay, we'll go to it.
Hold on. So, hold on. So, I got Django. This one's under best bargain. Now, this is a Japanese pressing. $3. Great sounding, and this is prestige. So, but this is a Japanese pressing with a prestige mono label on it, which sounds fantastic. And I got this $5, Art Farmer, and this is United Artists out of New York. But again, this is a Japanese pressing, so they did everything to make it look like an American. It's really hard to tell that it's not from Japan until you open it up and you see that it's got
the Japanese
right
inner sleeve. Yeah.
And I got this Japanese pressing. I actually got rid of my my first one from the U.S. This was $5 near mint in Japan. And for my, medium range best bargains, I got this Pig Bag. You know this band? This is kind of like, this is British. It's a horn band. Really danceable music. You don't know them? I got this for $7. Gene Clark.
That's the album that everybody tells me to get, but I haven't, gotten it yet.
Because it's a fantastic recording. So I mean, it's it's an audiophile favorite, and this was Japanese pressing, and Tina Turner, $7, Japanese pressing. I know I'm rubbing it in. Well, you want to know the best bargains. Now, on my worst bargains, I got this. Now, I got this online and it arrived. It should have been a gatefold and it wasn't. So I was really pissed off. That's the problem. Like sometimes they reissue so many times and the seller doesn't be specific about what it is. So I paid $12 for that. So that falls under my worst bargain. This is also a dog record. I'm really sorry, Cool Transports. I tried really hard with this record. It is not good. This is Stan Webb of Chicken Shack. I paid $14 for this Japanese pressing. I've wanted this for a long time. This is Bloodwind Pig getting to this. And the reason why it's a bad bargain is some jerk off put tape on it all the way around. And the other thing is that the US pressing has got this this game board on here, and you see it should be in color and it's not. And I really want her to be in color. You want her to be in color, don't you, Dan?
Yes.
Don't you want her to be in color, Dan? I think
so.
Yeah. You want her to be in color. And then lastly, under my worst bargains was this Freddie King as a Blues Master. I paid $14 for this, and it's a French copy. And it's not a great record. And, what I really want to get is my feeling for the blues.
Why is it not a great record?
Because the second side has got a lot of songs by King Curtis that just don't. The side one is very, very different than side two. Side one is the winner. Side two is just kind of crappy. It's kind of like it's a lot of instrumentals where he doesn't sing, and it's not that interesting. So.
He did. I mean, that was kind of Freddie for a while. I mean, he had whole instrumental album was he stole one of them from Hound Dog though. I can't remember which one that was.
He did. And
anyway, he did. He was kind of big on instrumentals.
So, Dan, do you have any?
Yes, I don't have many. I didn't bring any of my worst stuff. The worst one, recently was that Norwood one, and I forgot to bring that back in. I paid $6.30 for that, and that was a bust. But I love the book. So anyway, I didn't bring up any of the others because the worst ones I have are now in boxes, and I don't feel like digging them out. So and also I'm a very positive person. So unlike other people I know. So I want to talk about best bargains.
Okay.
So Nancy Wilson, How Glad I Am.
Hold on a second.
And Embiggen Me.
That's a lovely photo of Nancy. That's lovely.
Yeah, the original Nancy Wilson, not Hart Nancy Wilson.
How glad I am.
Yeah, and I got this in a batch of classical stuff. I bought it, and I just got a box, and I just paid the guy for the whole box. It was a big box of stuff, and this was in there, and I didn't listen to it for a long time, and I finally put it on, thinking I would hate it, and I loved it. It was at the end of the day, maybe $1, maybe less. She's Nancy Wilson, beautiful person, just physically very beautiful, and a great voice, and just a great album. This album this was, I think, 62, sold a ton. She had a big hit with How Glad I Am, and this sold a ton, and great voice. So just a really great album. And I went on from that to buy a whole bunch of Nancy Wilson stuff. She was great, and I don't think gets enough credit these days.
No, she doesn't, and all her albums cost next to nothing.
Yeah, you can find the stuff. You can find her stuff around, and they're not great sellers or anything. And she had a great. I much prefer her to, maybe sounding heretical, but I prefer her to Sarah Vaughan, Ella Fitzgerald. I prefer Nancy Wilson to them.
I prefer her, to not Ella. I like Ella a little better, but I agree with you on she's better than probably 80% of the singers that are out there.
Yeah. Oh, I will mention thinking of someone like that. One of my worst bargains was an album by Kim Weston, which is in a box, I know, who did duets, and she was a backup singer and did duets with Marvin Gaye and stuff like that. And I found an album by her, great looking cover photo, and just looked like fun. I was so excited, and I brought it home. What a great set of pipes, and she clearly needed to follow somebody. Clearly needed to follow somebody. My next two are two that go together. Two bargains. Ricky Lee Jones, the first album, and Pirates, her second album. And I found these for $1 a piece at a junk store in Princeton, Minnesota. I have to admit that I had, as they say, gone to sleep on Ricky Lee Jones forever. Chucky's in Love was played so much that it drove me crazy.
Same here.
And
I can't listen to that song.
Yeah, and I just was like, oh, fuck, So I wouldn't pay attention to her, And then I started, I'd hear stuff by her and I'd say, actually that she was really good. And so I was at this junk store and, I wanted to pick up something. So I picked up those two. Had to clean the hell out of them, but cleaned them and started listening to them. I just love them. I listen to those over and over again. And in fact, I bought 3 copies now. I bought 2 additional copies. So I've got them stashed around in different places in my house so that they're always near a turntable. So I've got, I got another pair of those and they were in better shape. And then,
you can pick up. That's a $5 record in mint condition. Those, so I mean, you can grab a bunch of copies and find out which one sounds the best. You can start doing your own hot stamper thing.
Yeah, you can find copies. Both of those, especially the first one, are just really thick. You can find those all over. And she is great. And she will, if we get around to the topic, she will appear again tonight. This is, though, I think my all-time biggest bargain ever. Elmore James 16 Greatest Hits on Trip Records, which I bought in 1978, fall 1978. And it actually was released in 78, although all this stuff is much older, of course. Elmore died May 24, 1963, age of 45 of a heart attack. The great, I think, for me, my favorite of the Chicago bluesmen. Just such a great guitarist. He's why I started playing slide guitar. He was the king of the slide guitar, and I just wanted to be like Elmore. I have listened to this album so many times over the years. I probably paid $5 for it. 78. That was kind of the going price for albums. It may even have been less. I've listened to this so many times over the years. I dropped the needle on it, and I'm just back home. This is just it. I just think just one of them, for me, one of the best albums ever. That $5 I paid for it, man, it has earned its keep over and over and over and over again.
The sound quality on it. How's the sound quality?
The sound quality is not bad. It's not great, but remember, he was not.
Yeah, because he died in like what, mid-60s or something?
63, yeah, May 24, 1963, 45 years old. May 24 is Bob Dylan's birthday, by the way. So yeah, he died in 63. And I'd forgotten this story, and I was reminded of it today, in fact, on Twitter, X as it's called now. But the day he died, there was a German, I forget the guy's name, but a German fan who had gone to Chicago, had a movie camera, had a recording, had a portable tape recorder, and was going to go see Elmore James that night and film and record Elmore James live. Mm-hmm. And Elmore James died that fucking day.
Oh.
So there is no footage of Elmore live. There's no live footage of Elmore, which is, just a shame. Ever
in his life he was never recorded live. Wow.
Yeah, I mean,
there's just stills.
There are a few stills, like on here. There are a few stills around.
Yeah.
And so he there are some stills of him, and he of course but he was, there is no film. It wouldn't have been video, of course, at the time, but there's no film footage of Elmore playing.
Wow.
And it's just a shame, because he was the one story about Elmore playing live that's out there is a white fan went to see him, and and said it was the most electrifying experience he'd ever had. He said Elmore was really loud. Elmore had been a radio technician, and he used a PA, and PAs then were generally louder. He used a PA head, high wattage PA head, that he had modified a little bit so that get the impedance right and match the impedance on to the guitar signal. And he played into a PA, and they said it was just they said it was louder than God. That was and they said he had this immensely aggressive slashing is the word the guy used to describe his guitar style, his guitar playing. And he said his voice was just incredible live, and so you just don't get you get a sense listening to it that the mic isn't doing him justice.
So there's no live recordings of him, only studio recordings?
Yeah, now the studio recordings at the time were basically live, but and you can hear in some of them that they're using one mic. They're using the vocal mic and just the one mic, and when he's you can tell he sings and he backs off from it, and then when he gets close to it and sings, the rest of everything else backs away, and then he backs away, and it all comes up. So natural stuff. But
that's why I like, if they ever fucking make a time machine or something like that, it would be awesome to go back and see guys, especially like that. You know what I mean? That you just would have been awesome to see live. It's just died too early, and not a lot of people got the chance.
Right.
Yeah, Elmore and Elmore was still. Elmore was. I'm going to say some of those guys fossilized pretty early. I don't know that Muddy really developed much after the early 50s. He had a style, and that was Muddy's style. But you can see, from Elmore, from his first hit, "Dust My Broom," the Trumpet Records, "Dust My Broom," 51, which was a huge hit for him. By the time the last of the sessions, the Fire and Joy sessions came around, the Bobby Robinson sessions in '63, not long before he died, he had developed a style. His style had developed to the point that it was very, very moving. Robert Johnson, Charlie Patton. I mean, Charlie Patton live must have been just incredible. They said Charlie Patton would just have the juke joints. He would perform for hours. Of course, Charlie Patton, they said, would play behind his head, behind his back, play between his legs. He was.
Or even Howlin' Wolf and freaking Hubert Sumlin. See those guys.
God,
what would it must have been like to see those two guys play live? I mean, that must have been bananas.
There's a story I've read about Howlin' Wolf playing somewhere, and he was part of a show with multiple blues acts, and they said he got up and he performed, and then he kept going, and somebody came out and said Wolf, it's time to get off the stage and let the next act up. They said so he counted off a new number, started in. They said he put the microphone stand under one arm, clamped it, had the mic, was singing, and pulled himself up the drapes,
on top of the stage.
The drapes alongside the stage, pulled himself up to the drapes, and then slid down the drapes at the crescendo, and it was like, man, it's like, who wants to go on after that? Right. They said he just freaking crushed it.
I don't think he lived long either, did he?
He died at
age 65,
1910 to 1975. He died at age 65.
Yeah, he didn't live long.
Yeah. Hubert Sumlin lived a long time. Hubert Sumlin, man, what a guitarist! What a freaking guitarist! Utterly idiosyncratic. Utterly, just sui generis. Just an amazing guitarist. I mean, and the guys who say, "Oh yeah, Clapton was so great." Clapton copied. He stole from Freddie King and B.B. King in particular, from T-Bone Walker, from Chuck Berry. He didn't steal any Hubert Sumlin. I don't think he could steal Hubert Sumlin. Man, just like Sumlin was he was just one of the great guitarists.
It's his tasty little licks that he would come up with. I mean, he just was,
tone. And the tone he had, was just incredible. Hubert was a great, great guitarist. I never saw him live. My brother Al saw him live. He also saw Albert King live too a number of times.
When everybody brings up freaking top guitarists and stuff, he needs to be mentioned, man. And
Hubert is
he's never mentioned.
No, he's not, and he should be.
Yeah, Hubert's Hubert was just incredible. And,
he's top 10 for me. I mean, I love him.
I've watched there's one of the channels I follow on YouTube is Beth Roars, and she does reaction videos.
Mm-hmm.
And she's done a couple recently of B.B. King. Well, she's done a couple that I've seen recently of B.B. King. I think they may be older than that. Just responding to B.B. King. And she's a vocal coach. But, it's like, how do you teach somebody to sing like the great blues people? And I don't know.
It's not. I mean, it comes from, within, I think. It's, it's kind of like almost part of their story,
Yeah, Luther Allison, Bernard Allison is Luther's son. I wish I could have seen Luther. I've not seen Bernard Allison. but you know, an awesome guitarist in his own right. Luther Allison, man, what an incredible guitarist. You know, Luther. You know, Luther. You know, I'd say would, you know, he smoked any. You know, I mean, Clapton, Page, you know, Beck. I mean, you know, Luther Allison smoked them all. I mean, he was incredible, and what a voice! His Cherry Red Wine is just oh man, what a, you know, his live versions of that. He was a great freaking slide guitarist. It's disgusting. The man was a, you know, brilliant fretted guitarist, and he was also a great freaking slide guitarist. Just an amazing musician. And yeah. But yeah, I watched this Beth Roars, you know, responding, and she's not, you know, she's like all the vocal coaching stuff you do, you can't, you know, man, you can't teach somebody to do what, you know, BB did. Yeah, but Buddy Guy, just another great guitarist, great musician. You know, and then one of the guys who doesn't, you know, he always, there was something always getting in the way, was Otis Rush. I mean, what a guitarist. What a guitarist.
Buddy Guy with the polka dot guitar.
Yeah. I think I've told the story before about seeing him on a three act night. I think it was the Paul DeLay band, then Buddy Guy, then BB King. And the DeLay band got up, and that may have been when Paul DeLay was still in prison for drugs. And it may have been the No Delay band at the time, because they called it that while Paul was in prison. Paul DeLay they were popular in particularly Oregon, Portland, Eugene. They played a bunch out there. And then Buddy Guy got up, and Buddy, good Lord, you know. And at one point he started doing, he said, I can play like BB King. And he played a BB King lick. He said, I can play like John Lee Hooker. He did a, you know, tone perfect, you know, Hooker. I can play like Albert King. He did Albert, which is harder than either BB or Hooker. And then he said, but nobody can play like Buddy. And he ripped into this thing that I was right up front. I'd gotten my way all the way up front. I was right at the apron, standing there, and he was there. He's not a real big guy, but he was there right up there, and man, he just ripped into this thing that he freaking blistered, but was musical at the same time, you know, but he just smoked it. Then he had this huge long guitar chord. He went out in the audience, you know, went all the way and it was an outdoor venue, and he went all the way to the back of the venue and then came back, you know. He did the, who was that? Lightning, who was that who did that? The Things I Used to Do. Who did The Things I Used to Do? The Things I Used to Do. Lord, I ain't going to do them no more.
Lightning Hopkins?
No. Played a gold top Les Paul out of New Orleans. Little guy used to get on a guy's back, shoulders. They'd put him on a guy's shoulders. And then he'd have another guy following behind with a guitar cord on a reel.
Really?
And he'd go out in the street there in New Orleans. He'd go out in the street playing on the guy's, you know, on the guy's shoulders, you know, and go head out in the street. Who the hell was that? Somebody, you know, there can remind me who that was. The Things I Used to Do. Who did that? God, I've got that. It's a
not Little Milton.
Not Little Milton, no. Guy out kayaking and right in front of my house fishing. Cool. But anyway, but Buddy went out in the audience like that. So BB came on. I had seen BB in '84, and you know, and BB was great then. Guitar Slim, that's right. Yeah, Guitar Slim.
There you go.
Why I couldn't get that. Guitar Slim, great freaking guitarist and vocalist. And yeah, the things I used to do, Lord, I won't do them no more.
Yeah, a lot of people did that too. Hendrix did a cover of it. Stevie Ray Vaughan did a cover of it.
Yeah. Yeah, but anyway, BB got up, and I didn't know what BB was going to do because I didn't think that, I thought, how, I called my brother Al the next day, and I said, man, I never, of course, saw Hendrix, but I saw Buddy Guy, and I was like, I was like, okay, I get it, man. Everybody talks about how Buddy Guy influenced Hendrix. And BB got up and held his own. He didn't cut, no way he cut, Buddy, but he got up and he was clearly like, I got to play tough. And he worked hard that night. Junior Kimbrough, yeah, I think I did I think I mentioned Junior. Most things haven't worked out. I've got a Junior Kimbrough album sitting over here. And I've got a number of his things on CD. He was the real deal. Kept playing down there in the Delta, playing juke joints in the Delta, and I can't remember when he died. Late 80s, early 90s, I think he died. Maybe, I'm not sure that he lived to 2000, but I think he lived into the early 90s, into the later 90s. And somebody there can remind me. Yeah, Junior Kimbrough, T Model Ford. There's another one there I'm blanking on. Fat Possum Records.
Providence.
Yep.
Fat Possum Records, came out. They went down and started recording. They found people, and R.L. Burnside. That's the third one.
He's good.
Yeah, R.L. Burnside, T Model Ford, and Junior Kimbrough were three that Fat Possum. You got to give Fat Possum Records credit for recording those guys and bringing their stuff out. They, absolute, the real freaking deal. I don't know Robert Cage. But there are others. I mean, there were others who just never got the love that, Johnny Shines is one. Wow. And I can't, Johnny Shines is just great. Honey Boy Edwards, Dave Honey Boy Edwards, another one. Who's the guy? There's a guy. I want to say Son James, not Skip James, but I think Son James. But I'm blanking on it. But there are a lot of great, those greats. Johnny Littlejohn,
talking about Son House.
No, not Son House. Son House, great one. No, there was another who played very much in the Elmore James style, and I'd have to dig back through my albums. But he, some of those guys just never kind of made the Chicago transition, and just stayed down in the Delta area and down in there, or then around that area of, actually it's kind of central North Mississippi into Arkansas, even into southeast Missouri. I'll have to look that up.
Yeah, there's a guy with a funny comment underneath, Manny or whatever.
Yeah, Sonny Boy Williamson, number 2, 1 and 2. I much prefer Sonny Boy Williamson, number 2, Rice Miller. Been so long, been a mighty long time. Oh man, that's it. But yeah, Sonny and Rice Miller, Sonny Boy Williamson played, performed a lot with Elmore, and of course is on Elmore's first hit. And Elmore's on some of his stuff. Yeah. Those guys, for me those were just freaking gods.
They're great. But the problem is, they didn't have a lot of money. They weren't flush. They weren't walking around with pockets full of money. They were broke.
No. Yeah. Well, Howlin' Wolf, sir, I do not say I'm a millionaire, but I spent more money than a millionaire. You know. And women, great gooling women. Oh, yeah. Yeah, son, Junior. I never saw Junior and Buddy together. I saw Junior separately one time. That was a great show.
Love Junior Wells. Junior Wells is great.
Junior Wells. I mean, man. Of course, never saw Little Walter on harmonica, but I'll be damned if, I don't know. Junior Wells is pretty fucking close in terms of quality to Little Walter. I saw Junior Wells in Eugene around 93, 94, Eugene, Oregon, at a college bar. I had a friend, and I was in law school at the time. No, 95 or 96 or 97, excuse me. I had a friend, Adam Brake, great guy. We were in law school together. Adam was a captain in the Army. He was an Army Ranger, in fact. Wonderful guy, easygoing, sweet guy, and he was a Ranger, but he was like, Dan, I know he knew I was a big blues fan. He's like, educate me about the blues. And so I'd tell him what to listen to and lend him some CDs and stuff. And then Junior Wells came to town. So we went to see Junior Wells together, and went to see him at this college venue. And it was in this room they had that was basically their outdoor area. It was screened off, and I think it was late enough in the fall or, into the spring, and it was they had, plastic brought down, clear plastic brought down to heavy clear plastic brought down to, kind of wall it off, and they had a heater going in there. So it was warm enough, but Junior was up there dressed all in white 3-piece suit. And then he had a white Homburg on. And the bandstand was like 6 inches off the ground. It was just like right there. You were right there, right on top of him. And he got up and he was playing. And then he started inviting the co-eds up to dance on the stand with him. And oh man, those co-eds, he was there watching them and clearly undressing them with his eyes while it was going on. I mean, it was like Junior. My God, back in the 50s in the South, that would have gotten him lynched. Yeah, he was real clear. But it was like, Junior, man, you deserve it. You get to do that. Somebody else, nah, but Junior got to do it, and it was a great freaking show. He was tough. He was just tough. Man, was Red's Vinyl Trip Cafe a Go-Go. Man, I tell you, I envy you.
That's in Greenwich Village. Right? Yeah. In Greenwich Village.
So, oops, I'm getting a call. I got to decline.
All right.
It's actually a potential, I don't know what they're doing. Calling me at this time of night, a potential
new
client.
New business.
It is. It's actually a potential client. It's a potential client. So,
all right. Well, you can call him back.
Well, yeah, I'll call him back. I mean, don't call me at, Yeah, they're calling from Seattle area, but don't call me at 7:00 at night. So.
Well, kids, it's that time again.
Well, we
like to keep things.
And we're going to talk next week about best albums of the year.
We're going to talk best albums of the year.
Next week.
Best albums of the year, Bobby.
This year?
Yeah.
All right, then I'm not going to show up because I don't know any records now.
Dan?
Ooh, don't do that. I don't want to turn those off, do I? It makes the humming worse. Turn off my volume pedal. Okay, it is the hour. It's 9:09. We've gone 10 minutes beyond. We have to let these good people go. So nous disons, aux nos enfants, nous disons, que vous sont très intelligents, vous sont très gentils, vous êtes très jolis.
Charming.
Vous êtes très charmant et charmante. Si, peut-être on est femme, oui.
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 Ouais.
Nous disons à vous au revoir, nos enfants. Et toi aussi. À bientôt. Come on, cut it before I die.